Assalamu alaikum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli waj'al li waziran min ahli Haruna akhi ushdud bihi azri washriku fi amri kay nusabbihaka kathira wa naskuraka kathira innaka kunta bina basira. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Welcome dear friends. Inshallah we will continue with our discussion on the miracle of the Quran, the method that the Quran employs to guide us, inshallah. So the author is sharing a few examples of the verses on how to benefit from the message of the Quran. And we realized how important it is because every to really interpret and relate the message of the Quran to our living. Otherwise, what good is it to just have information which is not of no benefit to me, right? So the main purpose of the Quran was to call everyone to believe. So we kind of discussed in our last discussion about why every verse has that aspect that is a call to believe, basically, right? And then we saw the examples of some verses where every individual can, whatever their upbringing, whatever their profession, whatever their experiences, they can get some share of the message according to their understanding. Right, so we are going to look at another. So I took some notes. So there are verses that are open to interpretation, which I would say most of them are open to interpretation, to as there's one aspect that looks to the thing itself, and the other aspect which kind of looks to the there was that basically to realize who the owner, Lord of the universe is. I think there was some point where he said, oh yeah, there was a hadith. Each verse has an outer meaning, right? So there's one that is outer meaning, then an inner meaning, a limit and an aim, and each has roots and bows and branches. So once you start interpreting, open with, as long as you're within the context of the purpose of the Quran, one can benefit and get some meaning out of it. Right? So there's the outer meaning and then there's the inner meaning as well. So there is that aspect that every verse calls individuals or the ones who are reading or studying the Quran to benefit from it. So they're not stated clearly and needs to work on them to relate to the practical life. So the verses need to be related to practical life. We studied earlier that while mentioning the sun earlier in the discussion on this in this section of the author's book, it mentioned, I mean, we realize, yes, why would somebody just tell me about the sun? So mentioning the sun for the sake of the sun, right? So whoever put the sun, whoever put the whole solar system, the Milky Way, the galaxies. So who is the owner? Who's the Lord of that? The one that is organizing, arranging all that. So that is the point, that by mentioning something, there's like other things. So the Quran is not speaking for the sake of the sun, but deals with matters that should put me in a worshipful position. So that was one thing that I kind of benefited from, that each verse must relate to some aspect of my life. And then that should make me realize about that I should put me in a worshipful position. All right, so we'll continue here and another example. So another verse that the author will share. So all these examples are kind of highlighting the principles of how the Quran must be read. So that's what I'm taking away from this. So here in this example, and the sun runs its course to a place appointed, right? From the famous section Yasin wa Shams a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim wa Shams tajri li mustaqarrin laha dhalika taqdirul azizil alim. So this laha is talking about the lam here, right? So and here the translation, the sun runs its course to a place appointed. So the lam, the letter, the letter lam, translated here as to, expresses also the meaning of in. Thus, ordinary believers see it as meaning to and understand that the sun, which is a mobile lamp, providing light and heat for them, will certainly conclude its journeying and reach its place of rest. Then take on a form which will no longer be beneficial. And pondering over the great bounties the all glorious Creator has attached to the sun, they declare glory be to God. All praise and thanks be to God. So they can see how the creation of the sun and whatever, this is like regarding the ordinary believers' view, how they see it in terms of the whole journeying and the benefit that they get for themselves and the plants and animals, all those things. So all the bounties that are related to the way the sun is appointed, it's the duty that the sun has. So they declare glory be to God, all praise and thanks be to God. Right. And a learned scholar would also show the lamp as meaning to, but he would think of it not only as a lamp, but also as a shuttle, weaving the tapestries of the sustainer on the loom of spring and summer, as an inkpot whose ink is light for the letters of the eternally besought one, written on the pages of night and day. And thinking of the order and regularity of the world, of which the apparent moment of the sun is a sign, and to which it points, right? So for him, this is the important part. He would exclaim before his wisdom, what wonders God has willed, and declare before the all-wise Maker's art how great are his blessings, and he would bow in prostration. So the learned scholar would see it would make him realize that the order and regularity in the universe, the apparent movement of the sun is a sign, although see apparent movement, although it seems that the sun is moving, but that's why apparent movement of the sun is a sign to which it points. So the whole solar system, the way the universe is behaving is a sign. So the acts of creation shows him the signs. So let's go to the geographer and philosopher would explain the lam as meaning in, like this, through the divine command and with a spring-like motion on its own axis. All right, so okay, let me just finish this. Okay. Like this, through the divine command and with a spring-like motion on its own axis, the sun orders and propels the solar system. Exclaiming in wonder and amazement before the all-glorious Maker, who thus creates and sets in order this mighty clock. All mightiness is God's and all power. He would cast away philosophy and embrace the wisdom of the Qur'an. So this philosopher will see the divine command working very smoothly, spring-like motion on its axis, the sun orders and propels the solar system. So I saw the comment from Adam, like each level or each individual. So ordinary believers, learned scholars, they all have their share of what they can get from looking at the verses such as these, which are the sun runs its course to a place appointed. Just like you and I will get certain understanding based on how much we've developed ourselves and everyone else. So he's just giving examples on how everybody kind of gets their share of understanding. So a learned scholar who's kind of delved a few into some matters of belief would understand a little differently. Someone who is more attuned to geography and philosophy would also have their share in their own understanding. And a precise scholar, let's read that and then we can come back to this, would consider this Islam as both causal and adverbial, and would explain it like this. Since the all-wise Maker has both apparent causes avail to his works. So apparent causes as avail to his work. So the sun being one of the apparent causes. So the lam indicating that the sun being an apparent cause or avail through a divine law of his called gravity. Divine law of his called, which we call in science gravity. He has tied the planets to the sun like stones in a sling and causes them to revolve with different but regular motions within the sphere of his wisdom. And he has made the sun spinning on its own axis, an apparent cause giving rise to the gravity. That is the meaning of the lam too, a place appointed. It is in motion in its own appointed place for the stability of the solar system. For it is a divine rule, a dominical law like motion, apparently giving rise to heat and heat to force and force to gravity. Thus, on understanding this from a single letter of the Qur'an, a single letter of the Qur'an, the philosopher would declare all praise and thanks be to God. It is in the Quran that true wisdom is to be found. I consider philosophy to be worth virtually nothing. And now we go to the next one. The following idea would occur to a thinker of poetic bent or inclination from the Islam and the stability mentioned above. The sun is a luminous tree and the planets are its mobile fruits. But contrary to trees, the sun shakes itself, so the fruits do not fall. If it did not shake itself, they would fall and be scattered. So poetic. Then he would think to himself, the sun is the ecstatic leader of a group reciting God's names. It recites in ecstasy in the center of the circle and causes others to recite. In another treatise, I describe this meaning as follows. Yes, the sun is a fruit-bearing tree. It shakes itself so that the planets fall not, which are its fruits. If it is rested in silence, if it rested in silence, the attraction would cease and they would weep through space. It's ecstatic. So all that attraction or within the way the system is set up, the solar system is set up. So all the planets stay in their position as they are meant to be in their, and surrounds the sun, rotating around the sun, just like in ecstasy, center of the circle, center, sun being the center at the center. So this was one example. So let me see if anybody, so I know Adam, you said, can you share how these levels are different? Right? So any other questions or thoughts by anyone? So the levels basically are basically how each and one can, how much they're developed can understand. But Brother Ali, please go ahead. Brother Ali, you are muted. Please go ahead.
Now, waiting for you to give permission.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. Now, it is the principle of Quran to give one example of an element, not all of it. How can I? For example, mentions about palm tree, date tree. It means all kinds of plants. That's the principle in reading the Quran. When we see one example of a species, aim is the whole species itself. For example, when we hear that honeybees are mentioned in the Quran, it means all flying animals. When we hear that camel means all animals, you don't have to stick on camel. You may look at another horse or a dog or a cat. The same message can be applied to all other kinds of the species of the being. Here, the sun is given an example in order to explain how we should really see the wisdom in the existence of all celestial bodies, galaxies, because universe is created within the whole order, and whole order of the universe uh, keeps all the same system in everywhere, but belonging to its own species. The order in the creation of the sun, and by using this lamp, which means meaning expresses to or in, but really for the purpose of. For the purpose of. It means to and or depending on the level of the person's understanding in. Now, that is one aspect that we have to take notice of. It means what we read here can be applied to whole celestial bodies, including the earth as well. So the way God creates the universe, for example, here the text said when when the text was talking about the precise scholars, he said, through a divine law of the God's divine law, which is called gravity, but this is God's divine law. Now, this gravity, where you cannot find gravity in the world? Everywhere. But it is only given in the example of the sun, because the sun example is particularly selected because the sun, every human being is aware that it is moving. Most of the people in the first category, ordinary believers, they may not even notice that the earth is revolving as well. Not only, and for a purpose. It means to a purpose, to a place appointed for it. particularly designed for it, created for it. But the sun, everybody knows that the sun is moving. We don't really see that, for example, stars are moving. That is why the Quran gives the simplest example to be utilized by very ordinary believers to the level of this poets, for example, totally emotionally charged people. Reads the verse and what they understand. All the levels in between uh, are provided with the document, with evidence to understand how wonderful the creation is. That is one aspect of the Quran. Another aspect that we should bear in mind as we saw here, we hear as we read, as we listen to the Brother Asim, every level has its own level of understanding. But Quran speaks in a way that every level can benefit from it, sure, and really apply it according to their own level of comprehension. But Quran always gives the opportunity to the majority of the people who are ordinary people. Ordinary people needs first observable, perceivable, understandable within their own level. From this, we see that the literature quality of the Quran is significant. But how it appears to be for a person who reads the Quran without realizing this quality of the Quran, it seems to be a very simple book. For example, if someone doesn't realize this aspect of the Quran, the sun runs its course to a place appointed. Excuse me, whatever the level of the person is, he will say, whether he's an ordinary people, learned scholar, or a philosopher, or a precise thinking philosopher, and also poets. They may say simply, I know it runs to a place. Now, here it is. In the evening, it sets. In the morning, it rises. And in the evening, it sets. Why do you tell me this? I know that. So they'll say, the Quran keeps giving the example of dates and grapes. That's it. And talking about a lot camel or mountain. We know them. We know them. Why do you tell me this? The rain comes from clouds. Come on. Even the elementary school students, no elementary school students, even the younger ones, 3 years old kids, know that the rain comes from sky, clouds. Why do you tell me this? They think that the Quran is speaking very simple way. But if you understand that mentioning the rain coming from sky, the Quran means that, you know that, everybody knows that. The one who speaks in the Quran knows that, aware that. Everybody knows that the rain comes from the clouds. Everybody knows that the sun is moving. Everybody knows it for a particular place to rest, appointed place to rest. Mustakar, it is in Arabic, really, appointed place to rest. So it means it goes there and stops there. It is it means all celestial bodies are really moving in order to go to their resting place. Where is it? According to the geographers or astronomers, black hole. According to the Quran, to be witness in the hereafter, resting place, appointed place, mustaqar. Some scholars understood that they are going to be transferred into hereafter as human beings die, but their spirit remains. So they physically die here, but what they represented, the meaning they represented, will be witnessing in the hereafter, saying that these people confirmed me, these people insulted me, uh, telling me that you don't mean anything, you are just accidental being. These people said you are a great witness. So mustaqar means hundreds of meaning according to your comprehension capacity. So everything is not only sun, the earth, the moon, the stars, galaxies, the whole universe as well, moving to its appointed place, resting place. So we have to understand that Quran gives the simplest example, which is known to everybody. That is why if we don't pay attention to this aspect of the Quran, we think that Quran is a very simple book, mentioning simple things that everybody knows. I don't need to read it. That's how some people feel in this way. We have to be very careful while we are reading. We shouldn't say that the Quran mentions about date palm trees and teen and olive oil or olive. No, 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 no. Every kind of living beings are listed underneath it because these are the most known accessible examples for every kind of human being. So his message encompasses all humanity at all times. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you, Brother Ali. All right. Any other thoughts by anyone or comments? Let's see, there's something as an extension to this. Can we elaborate further on the worshipful position? Oh, yeah, that was based on my comment. I mean, I took away from last time in terms of going into the belief aspects of each and every verse once we interpret it. It's not just for the sake of the apparent meaning, but there is the inner meaning, inner dimension of each and every, just like each creation, by observing it, realizing its existence, its creation, should put me in a worshipful position. Same thing with each verse, when I realize who is organizing, arranging all this, should definitely put me in a worshipful position. That, I mean, inshallah. Hope that helps. Anybody else who would like to comment or add anything? Okay. So we'll continue, inshallah. All right. So a further example. It is they who shall prosper, which is verse from Quran, section 2, verse 5. Baqarah, verse 5. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. This is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. Such people are following the Lord's guidance, and it is they who will prosper. And here it is they who shall prosper. This verse is general and unspecific. It does not specify in what way they shall be successful, so that each person may find what he wants in it. Right, so it's very general. It is they who shall prosper. Its words are few. Yeah, this is the other thing that the author is mentioning about the comprehensiveness, which is an attribute of the Quran, with very short phrases, short words. It has a lot of meaning. By not saying much, it's saying a lot of things, right? So by not specifying many things, it opens it up for interpretation to many other different layers and layers of meanings. So that each person may find what he wants in it. Its words are few, so that they may be lengthy. That's funny, right? Its words are few, so that they may be lengthy. For the aim of some of those it is addressing is to be saved from the fire. Others think only of paradise. Some desire eternal happiness, yet others seek only God's pleasure. While others know their aim and desire to be the vision of God, and so on. In numerous places, the Quran leaves the words open in this way, so that they may be general. It leaves things unsaid, so it doesn't tell them exactly, because not for the things themselves, so that it can express many meanings. This is good. It makes it brief so that everyone may find his share. So by keeping it short, brief, everyone can find whatever they are aiming for. Thus, it says who shall prosper. It does not determine how they shall prosper. It is as if with this omission, it is saying, O Muslims, good news. O you who fear God, you shall find prosperity through being saved from hell. O righteous one, you shall find prosperity in paradise. O you who seek knowledge of God, you will attain God's pleasure. O lover of God, you will experience the vision of God, and so on. So to each one, it is providing this good news according to their aims. Thus, out of thousands, we have offered one example of each of the phrases, words, letters, and omissions, demonstrating the comprehensiveness of the Quran's words. You may make analogies and compare its verses and stories with these. So, in just a brief few words, it is they who shall prosper, right? So, those who follow their Lord's guidance, min rabbihim wa ulaika humul muflihun, but in what way they shall prosper. Right? So, it doesn't specify that. So, there's a lot of meanings that one can go about deriving from these. So, leaving the words open this way, they may be general. So, leaves it general in a way. So, Brother Ali, please go ahead.
Have you,
So you're muted again.
have you finished your comment?
Yes, I have finished my comment.
Yeah, sorry. I felt after I raised my hand, I felt I am interrupting you. Sorry. Now, when Quran doesn't mention about anything, We have to think about it. No, no. Why doesn't he say anything? For example, in some places it gives great details. In some places it doesn't give great details. Now, as you marked here, it leaves things, many things unsaid. Doesn't mention that. So we have to understand there is a guidance for us here as well. If Quran uh, doesn't really mention a lot about a subject or doesn't mentioning it at all, we have to understand that it is not within the aims, the purposes of the Quran to mention that side. But in this section we read here, so it says, "Oh, it is they who shall prepare." So we understand that if I need to prepare, what shall I do? Uh, to if I need to prosper, it means save my future. What shall I do? Oh, you can be at any category, like say they. You can be any category of this people that I am addressing to, not everybody. That I will show you. I am presenting to you how to prosper in your life. And the person may say, "Oh, okay. What am I supposed to do then?" As you can share it again, the verse as you did before. Now, ulaike ala hudam min rabbihim wa ulaike humul muflihun. Now, if you notice here, the ulaike, so such people, so those people, and it is they who will prosper, and such people, they who are following their Lord's guidance. So, do you want to be saved? Do you want to have a prosper future, life here and future in at the end of your life? Then I am presenting to you this. You have to uh, get the guidance from me, and if you follow the guidance, if you are, how is it connected? The dear lords and yeah, who are following their Lord's guidance. Yeah, if you are just following the my guidance, who receive from your Rab, from your Lord, that is your Lord's guidance. It, only then these people emphasize here by repeating ulaike means those people, and also using where here and is here not additional. How do you say it in English? Uh, Now, such people are following their Lord's guidance, and it is they who will prosper. Two categories, as if apple and orange. No, this end is not that end in this Quranic context. This that is a kind of I can even tell you that those people that I mentioned before, those people I mentioned before who are on following their Lord, it is they will be happy and they will prosper. So it is a beautiful way of saying it. Although Quran does, this is the principle of the Quran. Quran never repeats one idea which is explained somewhere. That's it. It doesn't repeat it again. But we see that there are repetitive verses in the Quran, never the same meaning. Here also, ulaike, they, and the second ulaike, again they, and the tied up as showing the emphasis on it, it is they, no one else, that will prosper. This context in this verse is beautiful, and also we see that everybody wants to prosper. Everybody wants to be happy, pleasurable life, to have pleasurable life. So the conclusion of this paragraph in the Quran. This is the first paragraph of the Baqarah. Conclusion of this paragraph in the Quran, in this section, this prosper. Why? Do you want to prosper in your life? Then follow what I have said before. You will find a way to prosper your life. So this is called in the Quran fazlaka. I will give you more example. It's a simple thing. I won't speak a lot, inshallah. Give more example. You see that half a page of the Quran talks about the subject. And at the end it says, وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا وَكَانَ اللَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ بَصِيرًا. We don't really think that this conclusion, this fazleke, which is ending summary of the previous verses, it means you have to read the previous verses under the light of the meanings of these names of God. So you have to see that, I am the one who knows everything. Latif and Khabir, for example. I am the one who penetrates into the details of your heart. And I am aware of what is going on in the world. It means the previous verse must be read according to this conclusive summary of the previous subject. Here also, the conclusive summary is أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. It is they who will prosper. It means, why should I be among the people who follow their Lord's guidance? If you want to prosper, that's the only way. Go back to the beginning. Those people, the previous verses, most of the people know it. They go back. Yeah. This book has no doubt. So it means you cannot see any discrepancy that you can have a doubt about. It is reality, truthfulness, right? And Hudal lil Muttaqin, here is also the last verse also tied up with the first verse. Ulaike Hudal. أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. So this muttaqi, it means hudan lil muttaqin. If you really who are mindful of God, it means really, I don't want to contradict the way that I am created for. Go, and then continue quickly. Fountain, yeah, so those who believe in the unseen, keep up their prayer, give out of what we have provided for them. They are not commands. This is not saying you have to. This verse is not saying you have to believe in the hereafter. You have to pray, and you have to give charity to charity, right? Now, these are the commands. No, 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 no. Go back to the conclusive summary of the section. Do you want to prosper in this life? Right? Do you want to be one of those who prospers? Oh, why then? Who will prosper? Who prosper? هم المفلحون. And also مفلحون. Continuously be in prosperous life. Muflih is the noun, like saying engineer. It is the quality or not verb. It is a noun. Noun is permanent. For example, I am writer. I am writing. For the moment, I am writing. Half an hour later, I will stop. But if I say I am a writer, it means this is my continuous profession. Like this, muflih functions in this way. For example, here it is translated, they who will prosper. This is verb. Who will prosper. It's wrong. But I'm not saying translation is wrong. This is really wrong. Those people who should be, shall prosper. That is wrong as well. Now, they are the ones who are experiencing prosperity in their life, here and ever, because it is the, how do you say, attribute. It is attribute. I think it's called adjective. For example, the example is, he is an engineer. That's it. It is his profession. Now, he is muflih. That means I am muflih. What means? I am always professionally successful ones. Not who will prosper or shall prosper. No, not in the hereafter. Always here and there. There are many things are really in the way that the Quran explains. So, for example, people said, the Quran commands me to pray. Quran commands me that I have to follow the Quran. Quran commands me, يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ. Do you know that? Keep up their prayer and give out of what we have provided for them. They follow. These are commands, seems to be commands. Continue. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ. And those believe in revelation sent down to them, actually, not Muhammad necessarily, to them, and in what was sent before you, so that you have firm faith in hereafter. It means these are, seems to be all responsibilities. Continue. Now, the last one. These are the ones who are doing really perfectly ones. They are following. Now, again, the problem, making the nouns in English, in Arabic, they put it in verb form, who are following. No, who are already on Lord's guidance. Those people will prosper. We understood. Everybody's aim is to have a pleasurous life. If you want to have a pleasurable life, then you do this. I'm not commanding you. If you want to do it, this is the way how to be a prosperous person, happy with his existence. I'm just showing you if you want to prosper. So please, when we read the Quran, we should pay attention these last phrases. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ بِمَا خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. Pay attention to this. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا. Pay attention to this so that you will understand the previous ones. And you will see that Quran is not a book that commands you to do something. No. If you want to be aware of your reality, who is taking care of this universe, pay attention to this creation that I am mentioning. Pay attention to the prescription. For example, you go to visit a doctor. I'm sorry again. I don't know how to stop. You go to the doctor. Doctor asks you what is your problem, and of course God doesn't ask you; He already knows. But example, this is just an analogy. Asks you, what do you what how can I help you, or what's your problem? You said okay, and listens, and says nothing. Writes a prescription. In the prescription, it says something you don't understand, and says, take it to a drugstore and get this medicine and take it twice a day, for example, after dinner and breakfast, for example. So why? The answer from the doctor, do you want to heal or cure your sickness, illness? Do you want to be cured? Yeah, and do this then. Do you see what I mean? Do what I tell you. This is the way to cure. That this is how Quran should be read. Now, inshallah, we will get the real message of the Quran rather than really reading reading an informative book. Sorry, it is my excitement that I cannot stop speaking about the beautiful way of description of the Quran.
Jazakallah khair, and that was beautiful, how the principles of the Quran need to be paid attention to, inshallah. Yeah, so no command, basically, just an offer. This is how to do it, right?
You cannot say the doctor is really forcing me to take this medicine. Can you say that? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's one interpretation, though. Like one can say,
If
misinterpret.
someone is arrogant, they may say, no, I'm not going to obey you. Who are you? No. So I want to be free. Okay, go ahead then. You can be free and die out because of your illness.
Mm. Thank you. So, any other thoughts or comments? All right, so we should go to the next. So basically, it's like the examples Brother Ali gave about the conclusion of the other verses as well. Like when we read the Quran, so it makes certain statements, and then there's a concluding verse which relates to all of the others, just like the example we saw in the Baqarah's first five section verses. So everybody can get their pleasure and share that. So seeing if we should go to the next one or we can stop here for today, and then we'll look at the next verse example, inshallah, and see how these are examples from which we can see other verses and take it as a principle when we're engaging with the Quran, inshallah. All right. Any final thoughts, comments? All right, so I'll stop here. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا على الحمد لله رب العالمين برحمة سورة الفاتحة.
Yeah, have you stopped
No, I
recording?
stopped the
No,
record.
no. Have you noticed that? Compare and compare. It is versus and what? Yes, you got it. You got it. What is this?
The stories that are there in the Quran, yes.
Yeah, do you know, this is just a reference. The stories, don't read the stories as stories. Don't read it as stories.
Good point, yeah.
Yeah, so pay attention. The story, Quran is full of stories. It's a very important word here, he used here. The qasas in Arabic. So the stories, all the prophetic stories, half of the Quran, maybe more, are stories.
That's why it doesn't give any details to them. Just
Yeah,
mention.
that's what we have to, how we are learning here, how to read the stories and get
Inshallah.
the message. So, for example, let me give you something, just by example. Do you want to be prosperous? Huh? A happy life, enjoy yourself, no stress at all, satisfied. Yeah, okay. Read the story of Abraham. This is what I mean. So see that where is happiness here? His father is rejecting him. Where is happiness? So God asks him to just leave his family in the wilderness. Why? Who can do that? You see what I mean? Do you want to be prosperous? Understand what I mean there. So try to kill your son. When he grows and becomes accompanies you, can you imagine? Abraham is asked, come on, slaughter your son. Wow, who can do that? But what does it mean? Try to see this is the only way to reach prosperity in your life. Kill your idols that you see that, this is, when I got this job, it is the son of Abraham. I will be prosperous. Kill it. Only you recognize the creator and your owner, organizer of this world. That is the way to get prosperity, not to get the money or profession. See what is behind it. So the stories is just, no, this man speaks very concise. Not only verses, especially stories, because it is very important in terms of the Quran. Thank you.
You muted yourself. Yes, it's very important in terms
Yeah,
of.
yeah, I am done. Thank you. It's already time.
Thank you, brother. That was awesome to point that out. Yes, the stories. Jazakallah. Thank you. All right. That concludes for today, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma alamtana innaka anta al-alim al-hakim. Wa akhru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati surat al-Fatiha.